Well, what's up, guys? Thought I want to do a little video this afternoon talking about the playoff finals for the League One and the Championship. So, Charlton Athletic won the League One playoff final this afternoon. They beat Leyton Orient. In a result I probably wasn't really expecting. I was expecting Leyton Orient to win that game. Um, I'm not bothered. I'm not too disappointed about it. It'd be nice to see Charlton back up in League Two in Championship next season. Because obviously it's been a few years now since they were in the Championship. Um, obviously, I hope for Charlton that this isn't going to be a situation where they come back up only to go straight back down again. I hope, and I think, you're going to fear that next season, that possibility that Charlton are gonna be, be a team that go down next season. It's gonna be, the championship is very, very tough. Like there are a lot of good teams in the championship. So, and you see it quite often, like teams that, come up from League One do quite often tend to struggle a little bit, because there are a lot of good teams in the championship. And I'd like to think Charlton will stay up, and I hope they do, but I don't know. I'm not 100% confident, but I feel like they might stand a chance. Obviously, we've got to talk about the Championship playoff final. Sunderland back in the Premier League after 8 years away, obviously relegated alongside Hull City and Middlesbrough in 2017. It's been a bit of a roller coaster ride for Sunderland. They've had to endure another relegation down to League One. They've won promotion from League One. They've obviously reached the player that actually reached and won the playoff final this season. And in that, I think it's nice for them that they've been able to end that wait for Premier League football again. I will be rooting for Sunderland to stay up next season. It's going to be good to good watching the Tyne Weir derbies in the league next season. Those are going to be two big games next season in the Premier League. Newcastle versus Sunderland, the first Premier League Tyne Weir derby for 8 years. This is huge for Sunderland. I tell you, he would have been absolutely delighted with that result yesterday. Young Bradley Lowry, if he was here today, if he was still here now, he would have been absolutely thrilled at seeing Sunderland come back up yesterday, obviously winning promotion by the playoff final. It's sad that he never got to see that. Obviously he saw Sunderland be relegated, but he never got to. Did he see Sunderland? I think he did, didn't he? But obviously he never got to see Sunderland actually win promotion. Um, but I think he would have been absolutely over the moon at Sunderland being a Premier League team again next season. I think Sunderland fans deserve to celebrate this moment, and it's always a feel good moment when you see a team return to the Premier League after so many years away. Obviously, we saw that with Ipswich last season. Luton coming up for the third, winning promotion to the Premier League, first time they'd ever been in the Premier League. That was a feel good moment. Brentford coming up in 2022. Nottingham Forest coming back up to the Premier League in 2023. We've seen a few big moments over the years in terms of teams that have come up. I do feel sorry for Bristol City and for Coventry City. Obviously, this year wasn't their year. They both reached the playoffs and unfortunately went out of the playoff semi-finals. Bristol City lost to Sheffield United. Coventry City obviously lost to Sunderland. Um, obviously, I did look at one point like Sheffield United were going to be coming back out, they were going to win promotion, but Sunderland managed to turn it round. I don't have a problem with Sheffield United. I wouldn't have had a problem with them being back in the Premier League next season. Obviously it would have been Leeds, Burnley, Sheffield United, but instead it's going to be Leeds, Burnley, Sunderland, which isn't bad. Nice to see it. I'd rather see a team come up that hasn't been a few years before, that has been in the Premier League for years. And for Sunderland, it's been 8 long years. They've had to wait 8 years to finally to call themselves a Premier League team again. And what a moment this is for them. Hopefully, I really do hope they stay up next season. it'd be sad if they did go down, but you know, I think Sunderland might just surprise a lot of people next season. I think Sunderland could very well stay up. I'm gonna make that early prediction, and I know I might have back to bite that might have back to bite me on the backside, but I'm gonna make that early prediction that I think Sunderland are gonna stay up. I don't know too much about Leeds and Burnley. I mean, I think Leeds United might stand a slight chance of staying up, but I'm not confident about Burnley. You know, Burnley. You know, you would have thought they might have stayed up last season. They didn't. You know, they've held back and they've won promotion again. Are they going to stay up next season? I really don't know. I feel like I'm more confident about Sunderland staying up than I am about Burnley staying up. I don't have anything against Burnley. I've never had anything against Burnley, but I'm just more confident and more confident about Sunderland staying up rather than Burnley staying up. You know, I've never been, you know, I'm not that confident, you know, about Burnley staying up. I want to be, you know, full of confidence and think that they are going to prove everyone wrong. They are going to stay up next season, but I don't think they will. You know, I honestly don't. You know, I'd love to be proven wrong. I'd love for Burnley to prove myself and other people who don't think they're going to stay up next season. I'd love for people, you know, us to be proven wrong. And I think so many people think they're not going to stay up next season, but I'd like to see them do that. I'd like to see them actually prove people wrong and show that they have what it takes to stay up. And I think they will prove people wrong next season. I think, you know, they're not a team to be slept on, that's for sure. I think we have a lot to be excited about next season. You know, it's like, what does the future hold for Sunderland? You know, can they stay up is the big question. Can they survive? Can they stay up in the Premier League? Southampton can do it. The Southampton Ipswich Leicester came up, they couldn't do it. Luton, Burnley, Sheffield United came up last season, they couldn't do it. You know, you don't want to think that, you know, that Sunderland are gonna go down. I mean, I don't want to think that. You know, I want to be positive and think, yeah, Sunderland are gonna stay up next season. Um, you know, I've always wanted. I don't know why, but I've always wanted to see Sunderland come back up to the Premier League. It's like there's a few teams I'd like to see come back up. I'd like to see Blackburn come back up. I'd like to see Bolton come back up at some point. You know, I'd like to see West Brom and maybe West Brom try and get back up. Maybe Stoke as well. It'd be nice to see Stoke City one day get promotion again if that's possible. Swansea as well. It'd be nice to see Swansea try and come back up. They've not been in the Premier League now for 8 years. They were relegated for 7 years. They were obviously relegated in 2018. And to be honest, I want to, you know, the thing is, when you look at teams like Stoke and Swansea, they're definitely not going to be getting promotion anytime soon, that's for sure. In terms of who I think could come up next season, I feel like Coventry City might stand a chance next season. Obviously, this year wasn't their year, but next year might just be their year. They might just come up. You know, I mean, you think about who's going to be in the league next season. Southampton, I don't want to be going for automatic promotion. Leicester, I don't want to be going for that. I'm not too sure. I'm not too confident about whether Ipswich can come straight back up. You know, you feel like they could, like they might, but I don't know. I mean, Coventry feel like they might be the favourites to come up next season. It's, you know, I think I think they'll stand more of a chance next season. You know, they were never going to stand a chance up against the likes of teams like Burnley, Sheffield United, and Leeds, like Burnley, Leeds, Sheffield United. You know, I honestly didn't think either Coventry City or Bristol City were going to get to the playoff final. I knew that wasn't going to happen. I knew that it would probably be a Sheffield United Sunderland playoff final. I knew that was how it was going to go. You know, I would have loved to have seen. I mean, I wouldn't have had a problem with Coventry City or Bristol City coming up this season. I mean, have Bristol City ever been in the first division or the Premier League? I don't know. I mean, let me ask Alexa on that one. Alexa, have Bristol City ever been in the Premier League?
Good afternoon, Perry. Near Poplar today. The Phoenician Scheme, Lilo, and Stitch, Sinners, and Final Destination. Bloodlines are playing. The Phoenician Scheme.
And after that, I asked if Bristol City have ever been in a Premier League game, something completely irrelevant. You know, Bristol City. I mean, as I said, I wonder about a problem with them coming back up. I wonder about a problem with Coventry coming up, or should I say, what about a problem with Bristol City coming up, not coming back up. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Fingers crossed it all goes well for Sunderland next season. I want things to go well for them. I want them to stay up. I don't want them to be relegated again. You know, I really don't. I feel like maybe I do have a secret love for Sunderland. You know, maybe I don't know. But we'll see what happens anyway. Sunderland, welcome back to the Premier League. It's fair to say you've been missed. We'll see, and good luck for next year. I do wish Sunderland the very best of luck for next season, and I do hope they stay up. I will certainly be very fair on them, and I certainly will predict them to stay up. I've already made that early prediction, so let's see what happens. So I hope you've enjoyed this little video anyway. I'll see you for another one soon. Bye bye.